Stoic quotes don't change. We do. Most people think they're just beautiful words until life quietly takes something away. Maybe a dream, a relationship, or simply the man you used to be. That's when these words stop sounding like philosophy and start sounding like memory. One of these quotes will probably feel like it was written for a chapter of your own life. You won't know which one is yours until you can't stop thinking about it. Some things are within our control, others are not. Epictetus. Every man has carried something. That reality had already finished with. A conversation, a failure, a betrayal, a version of himself that no longer existed. The world had already moved on. His mind hadn't. The only thing still waiting for his decision was whether he would keep carrying it. 2. You have power over your mind, not outside events. Marcus Aurelius. Before you even get out of bed, life has already made a few decisions without you. A man woke up late, then it started raining. Someone canceled lunch. His whole morning felt ruined. None of those things were unusual. They happen every day. Marcus Aurelius knew a man could spend his whole life trying to straighten the world, or quietly learn to stand straighter within it. The world was never going to calm down first. 3. We suffer more often in imagination than in reality. Seneca. The future has an interesting habit. It rarely arrives wearing the face we imagine. One man sent a message. 2 hours passed. No reply. Then silence. Then imagination opens a casting call. It writes evidence, witnesses, verdicts. None of them happened. The reply eventually came. It was, "Sorry, I was driving." Sometimes the kindest thing a man can do for himself is allow tomorrow to remain tomorrow. Tomorrow has waited this long. It can wait one more day. 4. The obstacle is the way. Marcus Aurelius. The obstacle isn't standing in your way. It is showing you who you already are. Most problems don't look important at first. They usually look like bad timing, a missed flight, a job that falls through, a relationship that ends. At the time, they all feel like life is moving against you. Looking back, many men realize those moments quietly push them toward the life they were meant to build. Some roads don't change your destination. They change you. 5. No man is free who is not master of himself. Epictetus. A man retired with more money than he ever expected, yet one rude comment could ruin his whole week. His neighbor had much less. He slept peacefully every night. Which one is actually free? Owning more has never guaranteed peace. Controlling yourself comes much closer. Anger says, "Answer now." Desire says, "One more." Freedom begins when you realize you don't have to obey either of them. 6. The happiness of your life depends upon the quality of your thoughts. Marcus Aurelius. Not every thought deserves to come inside. Some only came to visit. He washed the dishes, but he wasn't really in the kitchen. The dishes got clean. His mood didn't. He was replaying the day his wife left, or the phone call from the doctor, or the mistake he still wished he could undo. Many men invite fear in, then wonder why peace quietly leaves. Replaying the past isn't the same as understanding it. Worrying about tomorrow isn't the same as preparing for it. Some thoughts knock. You don't have to answer the door. 7. Do not seek for events to happen as you wish, but wish them to happen as they do. Epictetus. Reality has never changed its mind because we argued with it. We've all tried anyway. Tom sat in his car, repeating the same sentence. This shouldn't have happened. He said it all the way home. Acceptance is often misunderstood. It isn't pretending to enjoy pain. It is simply seeing life as it is. The river reaches the ocean because it follows the path that's there. Peace begins where arguments with reality finally end. 8. The best revenge is not to be like your enemy. Marcus Aurelius. Every bitter person offers you a new personality. Try this anger on. Speak this way. The temptation is real, especially when someone has disrespected you, betrayed you, or treated your restraint like weakness. But revenge often has a hidden price. To hurt them back, you must first borrow their shape. You must think like them, move like them, carry their poison long enough to deliver it. And by then, something in you has already changed. If revenge changes you, you already lost. 9. Associate with those who make a better man of you. Seneca, David met the same friends every Friday. They laughed, complained, talked about people who weren't there. It felt normal. One evening driving home, he noticed something strange. He felt heavier than when he arrived. He couldn't explain why. He just knew he felt worse. A few months later, David caught himself repeating the same complaints. You don't catch attitudes overnight. You inhale them. That's when he realized. We slowly become the voices we hear most often. 10. Waste no more time arguing what a good man should be. Be one. Marcus Aurelius. Before leaving the store, a man quietly put everything back where it belonged. Nobody thanked him, nobody even noticed. He did it anyway. Character isn't built when everyone is watching. It's built in ordinary ones. 11. It is not death that a man should fear, but never beginning to live. Marcus Aurelius. We'll do it next year. Most men don't lose life all at once. They lose it one next year at a time. The trip, the apology, the book he always wanted to write. Just one more Monday, then one day life grows quieter. And he realizes life was never waiting for his schedule. The saddest delay isn't tomorrow. It's the habit of believing tomorrow is guaranteed. Strange how many men finally begin living after they stop waiting for the perfect time. 12. If you want to improve, be content to be thought foolish. Epictetus. Remember school? Nobody wanted to raise a hand, not because they're uncertain, but because they fear looking foolish. Walking alone teaches an unexpected lesson. Very few people are thinking about you as much as you imagine. Nobody remembers the man who looked foolish. Everyone remembers the man who finally tried. The day you fire your imaginary audience, you recover a freedom you forgot was possible. Embarrassment expires. Pretending doesn't. Pretending can last a lifetime. 13. Luck is what happens when preparation meets opportunity. Seneca. For 15 years, Frank saved a little from every paycheck. Nothing dramatic. No one admired it. His friends bought newer cars, bigger televisions, more expensive vacations. Frank kept saving. Then the factory closed. By the next month, panic had spread through the town. Men were selling tools, borrowing money, taking the first job they could find. Frank wasn't celebrating, he was simply breathing. People called him lucky. They never saw the 15 years that quietly paid for his peace. Preparation rarely looks exciting until the day it becomes freedom. 14. He who suffers before it is necessary suffers more than is necessary. Seneca. A doctor says, we'll know the results next week, nothing else. The imagination clocks in early. Michael buried himself 6 times in his imagination. Reality never showed up to any of them. Only one doctor knew he was still alive. He rehearsed conversations with his children. He even imagined what his family would say after he was gone. The following Friday, the doctor smiled. Everything looks normal. 6 nights stolen by a future that never happened. Strange how often we borrow pain long before life asks us to carry it. Some burdens disappear the moment we stop carrying them ahead of time. 15. No great thing is created suddenly. Epictetus. You never notice the sunrise, not while it's happening. 1 minute it's dark, a few minutes later, the whole world has changed. Character grows the same way. One honest decision, one difficult conversation, one promise kept when nobody would have known if you broke it. Nothing feels different that day or the next. Most of life changes so quietly, we mistake it for nothing happening at all. The man who quits usually says, "Nothing's changing." The man who succeeds felt exactly the same. If one quote has already stayed with you, don't decide yet. The one that changes you most rarely arrives this early. If you're enjoying the journey so far, take a second to like the video. It helps more people discover this kind of timeless wisdom. 16. Do every act of your life as though it were the very last act of your life. Marcus Aurelius. Nobody knows which moment is quietly becoming a memory. The last hug never introduces itself. The last phone call sounds like every other phone call. The last dinner still has dishes in the sink. One morning, a man rushed out of the house and heard his father say, "Drive safely." He answered, "I will." He never realized that would be the last time he heard his father's voice. Years later, he could still hear those two words more clearly than the speeches at the funeral. Life is rarely changed by extraordinary moments. It is changed by moments that never looked important until they were gone. 17. First say to yourself what you would be, then do what you have to do. Epictetus, before breakfast, before emails, before anyone speaks to you, you've already decided what kind of man you're going to be today. A man does not wake up one morning suddenly patient, disciplined, or clear. He decides who he refuses to disappoint. Then he proves it in small places. How he answers irritation, how he treats himself when nobody is around. Without an audience, excuses lose their costume. You can no longer confuse being seen as strong with actually becoming strong. Every morning, one man already knows whether you kept yesterday's promise. 18. Very little is needed to make a happy life. Marcus Aurelius. Cleaning the garage can be strangely embarrassing. Receipts from 20 years ago. A broken watch he promised to repair. 3 phones he no longer remembers owning. He still had a charger for a phone he hadn't owned in 10 years. Not because he found something valuable, because he finally sees how much of his life was spent keeping things that had already finished their job. Age changes the question. Instead of asking, "What else do I need?" he begins asking, "What is still worth carrying?" Not every photograph, not every message, not every goodbye. The answer surprises him. The lighter the garage became, the lighter he felt. It is built by knowing what deserves to remain. 19. Difficulties strengthen the mind as labor does the body. Seneca. Losing his job wasn't the hardest part. Tuesday morning was. A muscle does not grow because life is gentle with it. It grows because something pushes back. Yet when life pushes back against the mind, we often call it unfair. Simon Still woke up at 6, not because he had a job. He had lost it 3 months earlier. Losing the paycheck hurt. Losing his purpose hurt more. A calendar can become empty overnight. While a man still doesn't know what to do at 9 a.m., the financial pressure, the silence after someone leaves, a man who walks alone for long enough begins to notice something strange. Some burdens do not only weigh him down, they also give him shape. Pressure isn't always the enemy. Sometimes life isn't hitting you, it's carving you. 20. Confine yourself to the present. Marcus Aurelius watches people at a restaurant. Half of them aren't really there, and somehow today is the one most often ignored. A man can sit in a quiet room and still be dragged in 3 directions at once. Memory asks for another hearing. Fear asks for an early verdict. Meanwhile, today has been waiting patiently, like a friend you're accidentally ignoring. It waits, in the cup in your hand, in the empty chair across the table, in the breath you just noticed. Life is not lived in the years we keep revisiting, or the years we keep trying to predict. It is lived here. The future has never met you. The past can't answer, only today keeps picking up the phone. 21. The soul becomes dyed with the color of its thoughts. Marcus Aurelius. Every thought leaves something behind. Repeat resentment long enough, and it begins sounding like your own voice. Repeat gratitude, and the ordinary starts looking extraordinary. Repeat the same thought long enough, and it becomes the way you see life. That's why two men can wake up under the same sky and live inside completely different worlds. Your days slowly begin to look like whatever your mind keeps rehearsing. 22. It is the power of the mind to be unconquerable. Seneca, the strongest battles leave no bruises. Nobody sees the argument you chose not to start. Nobody applauds the patience that kept the peace. That is the strange thing about inner strength. The victories that shape a man are usually invisible. Sometimes the strongest man in the room is the one carrying the heaviest battle without handing it to someone else. 23. No person has the power to have everything they want, but it is in their power not to want what they don't have. Seneca. For a long time, Richard kept comparing his life to the man next door. A newer truck, a bigger patio, longer vacations. It always looked like his neighbor was one step ahead. One summer evening, the neighbor walked over and asked, "Can I sit here for a while?" Richard smiled. "Sure." They sat in silence until the neighbor quietly said, "I don't know how you do it." Richard laughed. "Do what?" "Come home every day and actually look peaceful." Richard didn't know what to say. For years, he had been wishing for his neighbor's life. He never imagined his neighbor had been wishing for his. Each man had been admiring the other man's grass, while neither noticed the peace growing in his own yard. 24. The greater the difficulty, the more glory in surmounting it. Epictetus. Nobody watches the strongest seasons of a man's life without applause, without certainty that any of it matters. For 18 months, Daniel drove straight from work to night classes. He got home after 10. His friends joked that he was too old to start over. His son once asked, "Why are you still studying?" Daniel smiled. "I don't want to spend the next 20 years wondering what would have happened if I hadn't." 18 months later, he walked into the office with a resignation letter. For the first time in years, he wasn't leaving a job. He was walking toward the life he had been building after everyone else had gone to bed. Suddenly, every late night mattered. Invisible victories usually become visible all at once. 25. Be tolerant with others and strict with yourself. Marcus Aurelius, experience changes judgment before it changes opinions. An old man once watched his neighbor shout at a delivery driver over a small mistake. Everyone called him rude. 2 days later, they learned his wife had been diagnosed with cancer that morning. Understanding is an agreement. Age teaches a man that most people are reacting to a day you know nothing about. So choose patience before certainty. Be softer with others, harder on yourself. Those who do bring peace wherever they go. 26. Receive without pride, let go without attachment. Marcus Aurelius. We spend half our lives acting surprised that temporary things are temporary. Not youth, not success, not even the seasons that once felt endless. To welcome what arrives, without believing it belongs to us forever. To appreciate what leaves, without believing life has ended with it. Everything hurts more when we mistake borrowed things for permanent ones. The tighter we close our hands, the more painful every goodbye becomes. 27. No wind is favorable to the sailor who has no destination. Seneca. For 35 years, every morning had an answer. Go to work. Then one Monday, it didn't. Author stood in the kitchen holding a cup of coffee. It was 8 a.m. For the first time in decades, nobody was expecting him anywhere. He drove to the hardware store, walked every aisle, bought nothing. The next day, he did the same thing. A week later, the cashier smiled and said, "Working on a big project?" Author smiled back, "I'm still trying to find one." That was the morning he realized retirement had given him freedom. It had not given him a destination. A full calendar can keep a man busy. Only a purpose can tell him where to go. 28. It is not things that disturb us, but our judgment about them. Epictetus, a friend, made a joke. One man laughed. Another spent the rest of the evening wondering if he had been insulted. The joke never changed, only the meaning attached to it did. Life hands us moments. The mind assigns them meaning. Sometimes it gets it right, sometimes it doesn't. Your first thought arrives without permission. Your second thought decides whether you keep believing it. 29. How long are you going to wait before you demand the best for yourself? Epictetus. Most men avoid one conversation their entire lives. Not with a friend, not with a stranger, with themselves. Mark found an old notebook in the attic. On the first page he had written, "The man I'm going to become." The date in the corner was 21 years old. The dream survived. Time didn't. I'll start next month. I'll become that man when life settles down. Until one day the years answer the question for you. Self-respect begins with one promise finally kept. 30. To bear trials with a calm mind robs misfortune of its strength. Seneca. Bad news always wants the lead role. It arrives wanting to become your entire identity. The diagnosis, the divorce, the empty chair at dinner, the business that quietly failed. Misfortune whispers, "This is who you are now." Too many men believe it. The wise man does not. He grieves, he hurts, he loses sleep, but he refuses to introduce himself by his worst season. Pain deserves a chair, not the steering wheel. This happened to me. It is not my name. Around this point, many men stop listening to the quotes and start thinking about their own lives. I'm curious, which quote has stayed with you the longest so far? Let me know in the comments. 31. Nothing happens to anyone that he cannot endure. Marcus Aurelius. Every man remembers 2 days forever. The day he is born and the day he quietly says, "If I survive that, I can survive almost anything." Nobody sees the second one coming. It might be after losing someone, after starting over with almost nothing, after sitting alone in a silent house that once felt full. The things that used to terrify you no longer had the same power. Fear didn't disappear, you changed. Looking back, that wasn't the day you became stronger. It was the day you realized you already were. 32. Begin at once to live and count each separate day as a separate life. Seneca. At 74, Arthur became the oldest beginner in the pool. He raised his hand. "The student is me." Everyone laughed. For 40 years, he had repeated the same sentence. Maybe someday. Someday never arrived. Monday. Monday again. Then somehow, 10 years. Another excuse wearing a different face. Life almost never announces that it has begun. It simply keeps passing. You don't need a new life. You need the courage to stop treating today like a waiting room. Arthur wasn't learning to swim. He was retiring from someday. 33. No tree becomes rooted and strong without the wind. Seneca. Every tree looks strong on a windless afternoon. You only discover its roots when the storm arrives. Character grows the same way. Anyone can stay kind. While life is being kind, anyone can stay calm before the phone rings. Strength isn't built between storms. It's built while refusing to break inside one. The wind wasn't trying to break the tree. It was forcing the roots to grow deeper. Easy lives rarely build strong people. 34. He who is brave is free. Seneca. For 11 years, Raymond never called his younger brother. Not because he stopped caring, because pride kept answering before he could. Sometimes courage looks like making one difficult phone call. Sometimes it sounds like saying, "I was wrong." Sometimes it means leaving a place that has slowly been shrinking your spirit. The world celebrates dramatic acts of bravery. Life is usually changed by quieter ones. One evening he finally pressed call. His brother answered. Raymond took a breath and said, "I've missed you." For the first time in 11 years, he chose courage, 35. It is not because things are difficult that we do not dare. It is because we do not dare that they are difficult. Seneca. For 3 months, Harry kept looking at the registration page for a local 5K race. Every weekend, he told himself he needed a few more weeks to get ready. The race never became less intimidating. One evening, he finally signed up. His first run was slower than he had hoped. Nobody laughed, nobody cared. A few weeks later, he crossed the finish line. Then he smiled at how impossible it had once seemed. Many things look bigger from a distance. The closer we move toward them, the more ordinary they become. 36. No one is more unhappy than he who never faces adversity. Seneca. One afternoon, John's marriage officially ended. By sunset, the house was gone. Half of his savings were gone. The future he had spent years building was gone too. For months, he lived the same empty routine. Go to work, come home, sleep, repeat. One evening, he realized he had spent 3 straight months surviving, not living. That frightened him more than the divorce itself. The next day, he joined a small gym. At first, he felt out of place. Everyone seemed stronger, more confident. He almost quit after the first week. Instead, he came back, then came back again. As his body grew stronger, something else returned: his confidence, his curiosity, his belief that life was not finished with him yet. He became fascinated by fitness and nutrition. He studied after work because he genuinely wanted to understand it. A year later, he was coaching clients in the evenings. Eventually, that second income became larger than his full-time salary. The divorce took away the life he thought he wanted. Adversity led him to the life he never would have discovered otherwise. If you know someone who's going through a difficult season, send them this video. One lesson at the right time can change an entire year. 37. Don't explain your philosophy, embody it. Epictetus. One man told everyone he wanted a calmer life. Then one morning someone took his parking space. Within seconds, he was shouting through the windshield. It is easy to admire patience. It is harder to practice it. Anyone can describe the kind of man they hope to become. Life keeps asking a simpler question. What did you do today? Your habits answer more honestly than your words. Long before the world knows who you are, you already do. 38. A gem cannot be polished without friction. Seneca. Every meaningful skill, every lasting friendship, and every dependable man has been shaped by something difficult. Friction is uncomfortable because it changes us. The version of you that entered hardship is rarely the one that walks out. Perhaps life isn't trying to punish you. Perhaps it is still carving away the fear, the pride, and the excuses that no longer belong to you. 39. If a man knows not to which port he sails, no wind is favorable. Seneca airports are full of people who look confident right before checking the wrong gate. Announcements echo through the air, yet none of it matters to the traveler who bought the wrong ticket. Life can feel surprisingly similar. Meetings, notifications, deadlines, without direction, speed becomes a distraction. Eventually, life asks every man the same quiet question. What exactly are you building? Not next year, not someday, now. Wrong direction traveled quickly is still the wrong direction. If you've stayed this far, these last 10 may not teach you anything new. They may simply put words to things you've already lived. The last 10 are the ones people remember longest. 40. Dwell on the beauty of life. Marcus Aurelius. For years, a man watered the same tree every morning. One spring, he noticed something unexpected. The tree had become enormous. He had become old. Both happened so slowly he never noticed. That's why most miracles are missed. That morning he understood something Marcus Aurelius had known all along. Life's greatest beauty rarely arrives all at once. It gathers while we're busy looking somewhere else. One morning, You finally see what has been growing all along. 41. No one is free by accident. Epictetus. There was a man who said yes to almost everything. Extra work, family favors, weekend plans he never wanted. He thought that was kindness. One afternoon, he politely said, "I can't this time." The world did not fall apart. People simply asked someone else. Freedom sometimes begins with one respectful. 42. And the greatest wealth is a poverty of desires. Seneca George made it his mission to try every fine dining restaurant in the city. Each new reservation felt like another small victory. Then one Sunday afternoon, he stopped by his mother's house. She served him the same simple meal she had cooked since he was a boy. They talked for 2 hours. When he drove home, he realized he had enjoyed that lunch more than any expensive dinner he could remember. The restaurants had everything except the warmth of being loved without needing to impress anyone. He no longer needed so much to feel satisfied. The greatest wealth begins the day less becomes enough. 43. To love only what happens, what was destined. No greater harmony. Marcus Aurelius. When Jason got married, it was not the life he had imagined. The woman beside him was kind. She simply was not the one he had once hoped to marry. For a long time, he quietly compared his real life with an imaginary one. The imaginary one always won. Then one evening, he caught himself laughing at one of her terrible jokes. She had been making him laugh for years. He had simply been too busy looking somewhere else to notice. Peace arrived the day he stopped measuring his life against the one he never lived. Some blessings do not arrive the way we expected. They arrive quietly, then wait for us to finally see them. 44. Sometimes even to live is an act of courage. Seneca. Some victories don't even look like victories. Some happen before anyone else wakes up. Getting out of bed, making breakfast after loss, smiling at a stranger when your own heart still feels heavy. One afternoon, a man found an old jacket he had rarely worn. In the pocket were 2 movie tickets from another chapter of his life. He smiled, not because it no longer hurt, because the memory no longer stopped his day. Healing is strange. Sometimes it doesn't arrive with a breakthrough. It arrives the moment an old memory no longer has the power to hold you still. Never underestimate the strength required to remain gentle after life has been hard. 45. As long as you live, keep learning how to live. Seneca. Most people think learning ends with school. Life quietly disagrees. A man thought he had already learned everything that mattered. How to work, how to earn, how to provide. Then life changed. One friendship ended. A dream fell apart. His plans no longer fit the man he had become. For the first time, he realized he wasn't starting over. He was learning a different lesson. How to forgive without forgetting. How to enjoy an ordinary afternoon. How to begin again without pretending nothing had happened. Life never finishes teaching you. It simply changes the subject. 46. Every new beginning comes from some other beginning's end. Seneca. When Jack locked the door to his little shop for the last time, it didn't feel like a new beginning. It felt like failure. With money running out, he packed his belongings and moved to a quiet farming village where life was cheaper. At first, he hated it. The streets were empty. The nights were too quiet. He missed the pace of the city. Then slowly something changed. He began waking up to birds instead of traffic. He learned the names of his neighbors. He discovered that visitors from the city would happily pay to experience the peaceful life he had been trying to escape. Before long, Jack was running small farm tours instead of the business he had lost. The shop had to close before the life he was meant to build could finally open. 47. No loss is truly a loss if it leaves you wiser. Seneca. Loss changes what a man notices, not the way he sees the world, the way he values it. Funny how goodbye teaches lessons comfort never could. Another chance to say, I love you. After loss, Ordinary moments become priceless. A slow walk with a friend, a call from someone you love. Some losses become scars, others become directions. The rarest men carry both, without allowing either to harden their hearts. 48. The art of living is more like wrestling than dancing. Marcus Aurelius. What if solitude was never the punishment? It was the training ground. Nobody avoids every fall. The strongest men stop negotiating with difficulty. They simply become harder to discourage. A young man once asked a neighbor, "Don't you get lonely walking by yourself every evening?" The old man smiled without looking up from the road. "Every day." After a few more steps, he added, "Then one day I realized I was finally good company." Life wasn't preparing you for an easier road. It was preparing you to walk it without depending on anyone else. 49. Waste no more time looking for the life you think you lost. Marcus Aurelius. Many men spend decades chasing ghosts. The younger body, the happier marriage, the old neighborhood, the career that once gave them a title. Rivers don't reverse. Neither does life. Walking alone teaches something both painful and beautiful. You were never meant to become who you used to be. The hardest goodbye is often to your old identity. Your younger self was never supposed to recognize the finished version. 50. It is not that we have a short time to live, but that we waste much of it. Seneca. Most men don't lose their lives all at once. They lose them without noticing. The same conversations, familiar routines, days that slowly stop feeling different. Until one day they realize 1 year quietly became the next. Perhaps that is what Seneca was trying to warn us about. A wasted life rarely looks dramatic. It usually looks familiar. Maybe now you recognize the life that's already passing through your hands. If these 50 quotes leave you with only one question, let it be this: what deserves more of my days, and what deserves no more of them? One journey, one lesson. These 50 quotes never really changed. You did. That's why wisdom rarely makes sense all at once. It reveals itself one season of life at a time. When we're young, we search for answers. Later, we recognize ourselves inside them. Stoicism was never about feeling less. It was about becoming harder to shake, finding peace that doesn't depend on applause, strength that doesn't need to be displayed, freedom that no one else can give or take away. And perhaps the greatest lesson of all is this: walking alone was never the destination. It was simply the road back to yourself. If even one idea stayed with you today, don't let it remain just another beautiful sentence. Carry it into tomorrow and let life reveal the rest. If this journey spoke to you, I'd love to have you with us. Subscribe and join us for the next one. Here at Move or Die Stoic, we don't just collect ancient wisdom, we learn how to live it. Until next time, protect your peace, sharpen your mind, and keep walking.